Hi, I'm Kate Edwards, president of Together Hospitality, and I'm happy to be joined by Emily Green. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. My name is Emily Green. I'm with a firm called Brand Urban, and I'm a director there.
So you help businesses, restaurants, create a growth plan for success. But what do you mean by a growth plan?
We represent landlords, developers, and tenants who are looking to execute upon a real estate growth and leasing strategy. And so on the tenant side, we represent clients, best-in-class lifestyle and hospitality brands who are looking to find new units across New York City, the tri-state, or to execute upon a more robust multi-city rollout nationally.
So then there's sort of two ways that you see or advise people to grow. So one would be that they have one concept that they want to do multiples of, and then they might have a concept they're known for, but they're going to do another one, and that's different, and a different one, and a different one. So they're going to have multiple concepts. So what would be the difference between them in terms of their strategy?
So when we take on a new client, that is the number one question that we have for them. And that's really setting the foundation for the real estate strategy that we're ultimately going to create and execute upon. And so one client might be coming to have a growth vehicle that is a single concept, and they are looking to grow in a region, call it Manhattan. Another group might be a hospitality group, and they have a bunch of different concepts in their arsenal, and they are looking to grow a different concept in a new space. And so the question on real estate strategy becomes a little bit more nuanced in that case.
So then let's say it's a concept that wants to multiply. So it's the one thing and they want to do more of it. What are some of the considerations there?
Whenever we take on a new brand, we do what's called a due diligence period. And this is when we really get to know the brand, the business, the operation, and ultimately their growth goals. So things that we consider, and the reason why we do this is because this really creates the foundation for a leasing strategy and a rollout strategy. We need to know what makes the business tick today. We need to know what makes them successful. And we need to know what have the challenge has been to help inform what that roadmap looks like. So some of those considerations that we really consider are: who is the core customer today? What is your most successful day part? What is your average check? How far of a reach do you pull from into your current locations? A number of other things. We look at who your competitors are, who the brands you like to be surrounded with are. And this really allows us to start to create that baseline in which we can start to figure out what patterns have made you successful. Again, what patterns maybe have you found some more challenges within, and that helps to identify which neighborhoods we're going to look in next.
And then in terms of, let's say, single concepts, you really have to take into account delivery.
Yeah, especially for hospitality brands, in the last 5 years, delivery has become a greater part of everyone's business. So for some brands, it's a little less than others. So for instance, a client like Van Leeuwen. Van Leeuwen's delivery platform is definitely important, but it does not inform real estate strategy.
It's ice cream.
Yes, it's more of an impulse purchase. So most of their business is generated from having, coming after school, or you went to a great meal and you want to take a walk home and you end up grabbing an ice cream. For others, like our client Kings County Imperial, delivery is a significant part of their business. And so for them, when they think of their reach, it's not just pedestrian reach, it's not just neighborhood reach, it's where are the delivery drivers actually able to get to? And that might make where they choose next a little bit more challenging because they want to go much further from where their existing locations are today.
And you talked too about the idea of a new location cannibalizing your existing location. So we don't want that to happen.
At its core, creating a real estate growth plan is trying to balance reducing cannibalization as much as possible. So figuring out where those locations are, where you can capture a net new consumer base is super important. When we're working with a hospitality group with multiple concepts and we're talking about making those decisions, a lot of times those operators want to stay within their neighborhood where they've been successful because they know their customer base super well, the neighborhood's treated them really well, and they just want to capture that same customer on a different occasion. So that is, I work with the Quality Branded Group, and I work with Scott and Angie, who started Don Angie, who partnered with the Quality Branded Group to open Don Angie. They love the West Village and they love Greenwich Avenue. And so when the Benny's Burritos came available, in this basically the same block on the other corner, they said, we need that space.
And you said something you also look at is day parts. So
Yes.
breakfast versus lunch
Yes.
versus dinner.
Yes.
So how does that impact where you're choosing to move?
Sure. When we're getting to know our new client or the brand that we're working with, understanding what day part they're most successful in it helps inform what neighborhoods are going to respond best to them. So, if you're a fast casual, the office worker might be super important for you. The lunch traffic, making sure you're in that rotation. So when we're making real estate decisions for a particular brand, understanding what day part is important to them is really informative for us.
And another thing that I've encountered in consulting with brands is that they very often, everyone's so excited to start looking for real estate, but then they fall in love and they're like, it's a romance of finding the location. But romance doesn't always equate to a good location.
Yes.
So how do you feel about that?
Sure. Ultimately, there is a gut feeling that you need to have. You are signing a 10, 15, 20-year lease in this particular space. And even when you become, you have 20, 30, 40 units, you're spending a lot of time making that unit as successful as it can be for a long period of time. So I do think it is really important for an operator to feel connected to that space. Right. For us, that is also, as advisors, that's a reason why we get to know the brand so well, so that we can have a gut feeling for the brand and we can marry that, our expertise of what makes a neighborhood tick.
So that's the art and the science.
That's the art and the science, exactly.
Yeah, I love that. So where do you get that data from?
I mean, this is what I do every single day, right? And we always say what we do as real estate advisors is more of a lifestyle than a job, because it never really turns off. It's about meeting with landlords. It's about understanding what spaces are going to be coming back because that lease is expiring in 10 years and having a tracker for that. Seeing and feeling and touching how New Yorkers are experiencing different brands and what's resonating and what's not.
But how about the person who's opening their first location? What does their growth plan look like?
You can start at any time. What I will say though is it's a labor of love. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time, especially to find a space that you feel so connected to. And if you're looking for space number 2, you're going to feel immensely more connected than if you were looking for space number 50. Start to learn about what rents cost. Start to really ask yourself the questions of, do you want to grow within your neighborhood? Do you want to grow the same concept in a different neighborhood? Start to walk those neighborhoods. And
what's the thing that motivates you? Like, what gets you out of bed every day in your business?
Helping entrepreneurs grow their businesses. I'm so fascinated by the creativity that comes out of these boxes. I just find the real estate. I just find the physical box, but what's created inside is something I am super passionate about and just love to watch. So I think it's being a part of that process.
Yeah, creating some magic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.